5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
On the edge of the box is Madden. Madden trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, it's there! Oh my word! What a goal from Paddy Madden! The Irishman strikes again! And is that the goal that's going to send Stockport County back into the Football League?
Hello and welcome once again to the Scarp. You look, I just caught sight of your face there, Russ, and you had a little smile on your face. You look really happy with yourself. I don't like that.
I enjoy my Wednesdays. I enjoy my Wednesdays with you.
Oh, you've been on. Oh, I must be nice for next hour now. Hello and welcome to the Scarp Hour, the podcast all about all things county. Getting a bit sick of these now. The new hipster club to support, aren't they? Not my words. The words of Johnny Marsbar off the Blue Moon Forum. In case you're wondering, yeah, done some forum research. Johnny also adds, for those who are interested. I know two lads. One a lifelong Arsenal fan, and the other a lifelong rag. I can see you getting excited at the mention of rags, Russ. And both of their social media is covered with them dressed head to toe in Stockport kit and them banging on about what big Stockport fans they are. It's really cringy. Russ, thoughts?
I've got no thoughts on that. Are they referring to us? Who are they referring to?
Yeah, they don't like us. You know. But when I've won the lottery, I'm not going to be moaning about my old neighbours. You know what I mean?
No.
Weird, isn't it?
Well, yeah, noisy neighbours, aren't they?
I don't like them, Russ.
I don't like him either. I got you were getting excited about rags though before, so yeah, so little when you
I
say
just thought it just seems like the type of thing you'd say when you're out with all your city friends of an evening. When you've got all your city friends in your shed, I reckon you're like, oh, them fucking rags, eh? Oh, them rags. I reckon that's what you all do. Oh, I hate the rags, me. Yeah,
I do hate that.
I bet you say bin dippers as well, don't you, for Scousers?
No, I don't.
So you do.
What have you been on? Where have you come from?
Well, you're drinking your Madri of your Tory Carlin, as I call it. Oh, you mate. See, this is what happens when you're nice to me, Russ.
I don't know what's got into you. Are you being nasty?
I was in a rush. I didn't have a chance to get my stage makeup on.
So tell what is it? To turn the heating on by the looks of it.
I'm on turbo. I've just walked in the door, Russell. You're lucky I'm not in my underpants.
Well, with that in mind, shall I tell everybody what's happening tonight and let's get our guests on before they have to turn their heating on wherever they're sat. So tonight we're going to talk about Newport. Say that again.
I'm warm, thanks. I'm all right.
Well, you got a big hat on. I'm not surprised.
I mean, badly drawn boy is not cold. It's a stylistic choice.
I didn't cut you off on purpose and I pressed the wrong button. Sorry about that. What was you saying?
I know what happened.
Right.
So your boy doesn't wear the hat because he's cold, Ross. He wears it because it's cool.
Don't make me press the button again. Don't make me press it again. Tonight we are going to talk about Newport, the win against Newport. We're going to look ahead to the Leyton Orient match on Saturday, the big Leyton Orient match with another podcast, Orient Outlook. We're going to get Steve out very soon for that. We've also got Dave Thompson on, fan guest Dave Thompson. We're going to talk to him about all things county. So shall we get Dave on first? Say hello to Dave, then we'll bring on Steve, and then we'll talk about football as much as we can, Nick, if that's okay with you. It is a football show.
Yeah, I'm good with that, man. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm cool.
Let's get Dave out. Hello, Dave.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You're talking about having the heating on. I was just saying before, I feel like Ferguson looking at my face. It's like I've come out like a beetroot since we put the heating on today, and it's just transformed me into some weird rosy cheeked farmer.
First time this year, heating on? First time since summer.
Yeah, I put it on last week for the first time in a long time because we've had some work done on the house, so we're surrounded by, hence the blurred screen, because I'm actually in our bedroom, which isn't where I do most of these kind of calls, honest. So yeah, we've all been a bit chilly. So the heating's gone on this last couple of weeks.
I like it.
But nice to see you all.
Nice to see you too. Stick around,
too.
join in, jump in with anything that we say. Just go with the conversation. Let's get Steve out from Orient Outlook because he's got another very important podcast to do straight after this, and we'll talk about that briefly as well. Hello, Steve.
Hello, gents. What a great introductory chat you had, especially the bit about underpants. So I could not be here when we're talking about underpants.
Do you know, we didn't win an award in the Northwest Football Awards for and look, just listen to the chat. You used to wonder why, isn't it?
Yeah, the podcast that sort of chat did win, didn't they? So
You were wrong.
maybe
I don't know who won.
they off tangent.
But yeah, an Oldham podcast won. So less said about that, the better. So let's talk to you about Leyton Orient, the match against we're playing Leyton Orient on Saturday. A bit about your podcast first, though. Congratulations, you're celebrating 300 episodes, aren't you, of your podcast?
Yeah, it's incredible, really. We started about 8 years ago, at the beginning of the season, 2014-15, which was going to be a really exciting period for the club. We just finished as runners-up in the playoff final, a heartbreaking playoff final. And at that point, we'd just been bought by an Italian whose name I won't say because we forbid it on the podcast. But we were taken over, promised a bright future, made some big signings, and it went very wrong very, very quickly. 2 relegations in 3 seasons, almost going out of business as a football club, then another takeover, getting our Leyton Orient back, which was an incredible experience to go through 2 seasons in the National League, not actually crossing over with Stockport County. I think we got out of it and as you came into it, but really turbulent 2 years in the National League. Justin Edinburgh came in, had an amazing 18 months with us, got us up, and then unbelievably and tragically passed away about 3 weeks after taking us up, and that put us into turmoil for a good 2 or 3 years. And here we are now, though, 2022-23 season. The future looks amazingly bright. 300 episodes in for the podcast, but you know, the team on the pitch have been absolutely unbelievable this season. Played 18, won 13, 2 losses. We're in a very, very, very good place at the moment. It's a very happy time to be a Leyton Orient fan.
Yes, and we're playing on Saturday. So you're top of the league, second best top scorers, best defence, lost 1 in the last 7. We're top of the form table along with you. I think we're top on goal difference in terms of the form table. How do you see it going on Saturday?
I think it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, 0-0. Yeah.
Well, I would actually take a 0-0 at the moment. I think it's going to be a really tough game. I think when we were doing our pre-season podcasts and asking the different fans who support Orient who the big teams in our division would be, a lot thought Stockport would do the double bounce off the back of you guys coming up. So I think we were all quite surprised at how difficult Stockport found it at first, but you can definitely see, like you said, form table, Stockport are going to be a very difficult team to play against. But saying that, our away record this season has been really good, really strong. We've got a really strong attack. Richie Wellens likes to play a front 3 who have looked really good going forward, of Paul Smith on the left, who you may have heard of or not. He's scored some cracking goals this season, a bicycle kick away to Doncaster, lots of solo goals. He's been absolutely amazing. Got Theo Archibald on the right, who's very creative, a really good player for League 2. And up top, either Charlie Kelman, who played in this division about 5 years ago and got a decent move to QPR, has ended back up at League 2. And we've seen the benefits of that. And we've got Aaron Drynan as well up top. So up top, we look great in midfield. We've got George Moncur, who I was very surprised came down to League 2 level in the summer. And I guess that's the benefit of us being a London club. And his parents live almost about 20 minutes away from the club, which is the only reason how we've got him, basically. He's been brilliant. We've got Idris El Mazouni, central defensive midfielder on loan from Ipswich, who I'd never heard of until we've got him. It's one of those signings that you've probably had at your club and you're like, who's this? And within 10 minutes of his debut, you're like, this guy's mustard. Like, he's mustard. So he's settled in really well. And then, like you said, best defensive record. I mean, Lawrence Vigor, who's been at our club now for 3 years, he's better than a League Two keeper. He's great, like in shot stopping, distribution, really strong keeper. And our defence is great. Rob Hunt signed from Swindon in the summer, played with Richie Wellens before. He likes to get forward, solid defensively. On the right, we've got Tom James, who has got good experience in League Two. He's been great. He's actually currently out of the team because he got his 5th book in the season, missed Saturday. But Jordan Brown, who came in, played so well. I think Jordan Brown's going to retain his place at right back. And our centre-back pairing of Omar Beckles, who we got from Crewe 2 seasons ago, he's been great this season. And Dan Happy, who's been a product of the Orient youth team, who'd done really well in the National League, and his career kind of stagnated over the last 2 years. Got back in this season for a suspension, and he's just been outstanding and never looked back. So on the pitch, we've got real good competition for places. Richie Wellens has led the squad and the team really well. I think it's going to be a really difficult game on Saturday. It's probably the worst time to play Stockport. I would prefer to have Stockport really early on in the season than have to play Stockport now. But,
I'm absolutely terrified now. After that, normally fans might go, yeah, we've got this guy, we've got that guy, we've got this one, we've got that one, but then we've got 2 or 3 that aren't. And it sounds like you've just named a full 11 there that are just incredible, and I'm now a bit worried.
I think when you have a strong season, probably like you guys last season, you've got your 11, and that 11 kind of works the best. And obviously, there's going to be suspensions or injuries, but as long as you've got that core of that 11, then you're generally like all right and got confidence. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, like as I say, 42 points from 18 games is phenomenal. I mean, I thought we'd be up there. I did say in our pre-season preview episode, I thought we'd be around the playoff area, just because of the strength of the signings we were making seemed to be much better than most other League Two clubs or what they were signing. And George Moncur and Theo have been massive for us. And Richie ended last season really well, really strongly. And I think he's just kind of built on those foundations and driven the club forward. I think we had a disappointing result a week and a half ago away to Wimbledon, where we lost 2-0 away. And they just got in our faces and played a real dirty game against us. And I don't know too much if Stockport do that against opposition, but like fouls, breaking up the game, getting the ball out of play and keeping it out of play, they really kind of stagnated us as first team to really do that to us this season. So that's probably been the only negative of the season. I mean, our other defeat at home to Newport, we battered them. We had a crazy 4 minutes where we conceded a penalty. They literally nicked a goal from a set piece, but the rest of the time we battered them. But Wimbledon was a real strange performance and slightly out of character. But no, I mean, I'm fairly confident going into Saturday, but I do know players like, your Paddy Maddens, who I saw in your intro reel. Everyone in League Two will know Paddy Madden and his danger. And there won't be many League Two fans who've been watching League Two football and won't be looking at Stockport as an upcoming threat at the moment. So I think it's going to be a really close and difficult game.
Yeah, lots of people are suggesting in the comments, which I know you can't see, of how we're going to do. Someone said, I'll flash it up. Jonathan Baker, friend of the show, sounds like our best chance might be if their team breaks down on the M6. Not sure about that, but it does sound pretty good. I mean, it sounds like a really tasty match because we are on form. We're playing really well, and we'll talk about that later. But
pretty much sold out as well.
Yeah, I was going to say we're pretty much sold out at our end. How many are you bringing? Have you got any insight on that?
I reckon there'd be somewhere between 600 to 800. Maybe possibly more making up the journey on the day. I think Orient fans like to travel in numbers. It's a ground we've not been to in, I think, the early 2000s because of the way we've kind of bought it separately out of the league. So I think there'll be quite a few people going to Edgeley Park for the first time, and that always brings more numbers in. I mean, our away support season has been pretty decent. We took 1,200 to Wimbledon. We've taken big numbers where we go mostly. I'd imagine between 600, 800, maybe 900 on the day. But it's a ground that, it holds a lot of history. I think a lot of Orient fans will want to go there. And, when you're top, you'll make a call in the morning of the game to, I'll just go up there with a few mates and see what happens. So I think there'll be healthy numbers. And also, Richie is from around the Stockport, Greater Manchester area. So I think he'll know people. He'll bring quite a few. We'll be able to see Richie Wellens. So it should be a very tasty atmosphere, gents.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely be up for it, I'm sure. On Saturday, what if there are any weaknesses? What are they? Just so we can send this to Charlie.
I would say at the moment, if I was the Stockport coaching staff, I'd be looking at that Wimbledon game and saying, right, what did Wimbledon do to literally knock Orient out of their stride? Because their game management against us was spot on. It wasn't the prettiest football, but I mean, they literally kept fouling, kept going down, ball out of play, sneaky little time-wasting tactics here and there once they got their noses ahead, which, you know, we've all done it. All clubs have done it. But if I was the Stockport boss, I'd be looking at Wimbledon video going, right, what can we take from there? Because if you try and press too high against Orient and we can get around the back of you, then, you know, from the attacks, what we've seen from our club this season, we are dangerous going forward. But, you know, I hate to be that Orient fan who comes on and is ultra confident and then gets absolutely pounded. And I watch this on Monday and I go, oh my God, what do I throw on here? So I feel like I might have actually picked us up a bit too much. In fact, you know, we're rubbish.
Well, now's your chance to put that to actual figures. What do you reckon the score's going to be, just finally?
I reckon it'll be a 2-2 draw. I reckon Stockport may go one ahead. I think we may get our noses in front 2-1, but I think it might be 2-2. I think there's goals in this one for both teams. Looking at the form table and how many goals you've been scoring and how many we've been scoring, I think the atmosphere will get into some of the players' heads as well. I think it could be a score draw, probably 2-2. But I'd take a point away to Stockport at the moment, given the form Stockport are in.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. Just one thing before you go, your other podcast, do you want to just quickly, because we've got a lot of people who like that, are into that sort of kind of music and things. Do you want to just tell us a bit about that?
Oh, certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. So I host the Fantastival podcast, which is a podcast where I get guests to come on and talk about their musical tastes, their experiences, and they get to collect their fantasy festivals. So they get to choose any 5 acts, alive, dead, whatever, from whatever time period or not, get to put them in a festival position. One actor must play a studio album in full, and then at the end of your fantasy festival, all 5 acts come back on the stage and can perform any song ever by any artist. So that's what I call the encore. I've had some really established guests, people from Ocean Colour Scene, from Cast, from Dodgy. I get a lot of new music acts on. I get a lot of people who are DJs or just got a passion for music. It started as a passion project during COVID when the Outlook went on hiatus because there was no football to talk about. And then from there, it's just gained a bigger following every week. And yeah, it continues to grow and grow, and it's great fun, and it turns into like a real good emotional. You learn a lot about someone from half an hour to an hour talking about their music. You learn an awful lot about them, so it's a real special experience to have. So yeah, I love it, as well as the Outlook, obviously.
Oh, it's the kind of podcast that I'm getting on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be right up your street. Yeah,
it's available on all good podcasting platforms. Fantastival podcast, and you can find it on Twitter at FantastivalP.
Yeah, and excellent. I can vouch it's a really good listen. So I'm a listener. Right, brilliant. Thank you, Steve, for joining us.
Hey, Steve, nice one, mate.
Good luck from Monday onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Stockport County have been out of the Football League for too long, and I was delighted to see them back when you got out of the National League, because I know how difficult it is to get a National League. So I was chuffed to see that. Like I said, best of luck for the season, because Stockport County are a big club. Seems to be a really nice club as well. So after Saturday, best of luck for the season, and I hope to see you in League One next season, gents.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be really nice.
Yeah. I'll take that now. Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, mate.
There we go. Another seamless transition. Getting good at this. It's almost award-winning. Almost. So yeah, should we kick off with the Leyton Orient match on Saturday, or do you want to go back to Newport? Does anybody want to go back to Newport? I don't know.
Well, I do. I wish I could have gone, because there's the Tiny Rebel thing's there, isn't there? And I didn't realise until like Friday night that's where the Tiny Rebel tap room is. It's a beer or so. It's a Welsh beer.
Right, is it?
I'm with Russell on that one. I didn't have a clue what you're on about then.
Oh, I thought, get in Dr. Feelgood and get yourself a pint of electric boogaloo. You will never look back.
Nice.
Well, someone said to me the other week, try neck oil, and I was wiping it off my tongue for 4 days. The most horrendous tasting beer I've ever had. Might as well lick a lemon.
Someone said to me, try it. Have they got it in County? Have they got it in
It's
County?
vile.
Of course now, yeah.
It's horrible beer.
Right.
Maybe I'm too old.
Don't know. I don't know. I mean, I might try it on Saturday because people are going on about it, aren't they? So, don't.
Save your money. Have a pint of water instead. Just don't have neck oil.
So Newport on Saturday then. Decent 2-1 win. I caught the match somehow.
Where did you go to watch Venezuela? Was it
Venezuela? Yeah,
exactly,
I went to Venezuela.
Yeah. I went to Iceland.
Oh, did you? Bloody hell!
Yeah, get myself some cans, and then I went and watched the match. In Nicaragua.
What did you make of it? What did you make of it, lads?
I was working. I was working at the Wettiad. So I got back for the second half. I got to watch the second half from Islamabad. But we were talking before, weren't we, Russ? And I think you got it right on, where it was kind of like I felt like we just had them there. You know, I don't think County played as well as they can, but I don't think they ever looked like you weren't ever hiding behind whatever settees they have in Islamabad. Do you know what I mean? It was all just kind of just about comfortable without being too worrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that thing where you like that thing that they have in like pantomimes and old cartoons where you like keep a dwarf at arm's length. Like, the dwarf's like swinging at you. Like, yeah. Then all of a sudden, like towards the end of the first half, we just let the dwarf through our legs. Shit. But yeah, but I said at half time, I still think we've got enough to win this. And yeah, just kept plugging away. I think I said to you the other day, Ross, when me and you were chatting. I was like, earlier in the season, we would have just regressed to like hoofing the ball down the channels, hoping it would stick. But we just stuck to what we're good at, which was the main criticism at the start of the season that we weren't. So it's a thumbs up from me, Russell.
Is it a thumbs up from you? Yeah, it's funny. Like, you're right. Even when Omar the Bugler or whatever he's called. I mean, he went past 4 defenders, didn't he? And sort of got
the last post.
Well, that was done there as well. It was done pre-match as well, wasn't it? But yeah, he got past. I don't know how he did it. Past 4 of our lads. Don't really want to see that too often. Yeah. Hussey's goal, cross or shot. Let's play cross or shot.
It's a cross. Come on.
I think of it because I think he's just decided to whip it into the danger area because you've always got, as they tell you when you're a kid, you've always got a chance of it taking a deflection and becoming a shot. So, but the goalkeeper made it look like it was accidental. Just the way the goalkeeper made an absolute tit of himself.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, it's funny when like you think of like David Seaman backpedaling. Well, he got done a couple of times, didn't he? You think of him where he still looks kind of like a goalkeeper, but the Newport, like I don't. It's like they just let some steward have a go in net for 10 minutes. Just got one of the stewards out. No, I mean, you've got Ivers on, go in net.
No one's as bad at backpedaling than Peter Shilton. If you think of World Cup Italian 90 when Paul Parker's ball. My gran, she died when I was about 14. She could still jump higher than he did now. But I think Hussey there's that old thing from when you're a kid, like you were saying, Nick, if you put in a free kick in from that area, aim for the far post. Do you know what I mean? And I think he was doing that, and I don't think he's intended it. Hey, fair play if he has, but I don't care. It went in, didn't it? That's what we all want.
Shit stadiums, like when a goal like that does go in, and you see it on Sky Sports News, like it's always at some shit stadium like that.
It's a weird back behind the goal, wasn't it? I mean, I know a lot of these modern stadiums now, you're miles away from the ground, like West Ham. But for a ground like Newport, that just looked ridiculously big. I can't understand why they've left such a vast space behind each goal.
No. It's not because it used to be a running track or something like that, is it? It's a proper football ground, isn't it, Rodney Parade? Is it? I mean, I don't even know.
I think it used to have a running track, yeah. I think so. Might be wrong.
Still seems a waste of what they could have, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. John Billsbury
play rugby there as well.
John Billsbury, friend of the rugby. We've got a few coming in here. John, rugby ground.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it used to be an athletics thing back in the day, though. From my research when I became manager of them on Football Manager once. So I commit, Russell. I commit.
Yeah. What did you get that little report? Did you get that little report? Is that what you got? Like a little welcome to Newport and.
Well, yeah, but it don't give you. It don't tell you whether the stadium used to be an athletics thing. You
have to go on. Yeah, right, yeah.
But then when you type in Rodney on Wikipedia, you get like Rodney Dangerfield and Rodney King. So you have to scroll for a long time to get to you're having to type the whole thing. So it makes it no way. I nearly didn't take the job, mate. This close.
You could just type Rodney Parade and it'll probably tell you everything you need.
I know, but I like it when stuff pops up. Like if I go on Spotify and just type in AR, it knows that I mean Arctic Monkeys. So why should I have to do the same for that?
Got too much time on your hands, I think, Nick.
Yeah.
If anything, Dave, my time's valuable.
If you're enjoying that time, Nick, then that's
the main thing
in the world. That's exactly what time's for.
Well, it turns out, according to Wikipedia, in 1875, Newport Athletic Club was created there. So who's laughing now?
There you go. What have you got to say about that? Everybody in the comments who said it's a rugby club. It probably is.
It does look more like a
well,
rugby club, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To be fair.
No, it's both, and they've had cricket there and everything as well. I mean, we'll do a separate podcast on the history of Newport's ground next week.
Yeah, should we do that?
You could do a podcast on grounds that have had other sports, like was it Chelsea's had a dog track, didn't it, for years?
Yeah,
which has got to be pretty.
It should still have a dog track, and just.
I think you found a gap in the market there, Dave.
Yeah,
it's not going to last very long, though, is it?
Lost ground.
Not really the world's longest podcast.
No. I listened to a Newport podcast, the 19-something Exiles. Can't remember what the year was. It's probably the year they were formed. They were very complimentary of us and the way we played.
The forums were as well.
Yeah. They were very complimentary of us. What about before we get onto the second goal and whether it was going in or not? I think was that before or after the whistle incident, Whistlegate?
I think Whistlegate was after, wasn't it?
Was Whistlegate after? Let's do it in chronological order then. Well, let's talk about the Madden goal then. Was it going in or not?
I think so, but it doesn't matter because he put the ball in the position where it could be turned in by a defender, as referenced in the conversation about the first goal. See, it all comes together.
Yes, it does.
We don't just throw this shit together.
I've said that to Dave before he came on.
I saw Russ with it. He's got it in his hand now, a pen. You've got a vape. We know it's professional here, don't we?
Yeah. My mind is my pen.
So yeah, I think we could all agree it wasn't going in, but you got to buy a ticket, and that puts Paddy Madden onto something stupid like 7 goals in 8 matches and 25 assists. I don't know what it is.
Not bad for someone whose legs had apparently gone. According to one person, can we just let's not pretend this was like a common thought. It was one person.
Yeah, it was
good cross by Morley as well. You got to throw that in.
Yeah.
What a cross!
Absolutely, yeah.
Good to see him back out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His legs was the guy in front of me at Salford said his legs had gone, and that's all I said. Didn't see. I've not seen it anywhere else.
Oh, well, that's 2 people then, because I saw someone say it on Twitter as well a while back, or Facebook a while back. Yeah, so that's 2 people. Ooh, it's becoming an epidemic, this, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, legs definitely haven't gone. Quality player, got player, League 2 Player of the Month.
Yeah.
As well for October.
Dave Challoner missed out on manager inexplicably to Michael Flynn. Shame.
Okay, yeah. So we know how he feels missing out on awards, don't we?
No, we hear you, Dave. We hear you. We're here for you, mate.
It was that close. So very complimentary of us, and rightly so. I thought it was a really good performance. It's kind of boring coming in here talking about good performances as we've discussed in the past. Isn't it?
It's even more boring talking about bad performances when they follow each other. Like the odd bad performance is fine to talk about, but when it's like week after, when it's like 2 bad performances a week and we're having to talk about it, I'd rather talk about this. I'd rather be boring than bored.
I think it's been good to see, though, from going from the start of the season I mean, I missed a lot of August because of work, and then ever since then, I've not missed that many. But you can kind of see them just growing into the league in a way. Do you know what I mean? I think it's probably been said on here before, we were all probably a bit guilty and a bit giddy of thinking, well, yeah, look what we'll do this year, and then it's started so slowly, but you can just see them, just things beginning to work. Like, I felt so sorry for Wootton early on, everyone just slating him because he's trying to hold it up, lay it off, get on, and it's just not happening. People aren't picking up that flick on or being in the right place for a layoff or whatever. You can see what he's trying to do. Like, I'm not saying he's like Teddy Sheringham, don't get me wrong, but Sheringham used to get so overlooked as a centre forward, but he was so intelligent, and it wasn't until he almost clicked with Shearer that everyone started to go, God, that's it, yeah, he's decent, him. And there's a bit like that with Wootton. He's not just going to go and score loads of goals. He wants to score more, of course he does, but you can see what he's trying to do as a footballer, and you can see what his game is, and I'm glad to see that slowly starting to be recognised now.
Yeah, 100%, yeah, and the evidence was there as well. Though, if we all think about it, we like loads of people said this, but we never got battered by anybody. Nobody tore us apart. Even when Swindon came and they were the best. Well, like we said last week, they've got the record of being the best and the worst team that's been to Edgeley Park this season. But when they first came, they were pretty good, but they didn't batter us. So.
Encouraging, wasn't it? And I said in the summer, I think we'll finish top 3, and I said that when we weren't doing well. And in case you're wondering, I'm still thinking that now. So check back next week for an update on that.
I was wondering, yeah. I've always said top 7 from the start.
No, I think I top 3. We'll be top 3. You mark my words. You pessimist, Russell.
I said just stay up, which is a big Harry. Big Harry's still saying they're going to win the league. But I was just like, I just want to stay up. Just stay up. That's it for me. Yeah, Phil Brown said finish top of the bottom 4 or whatever it is. That's where. Yeah. But I don't think we will. I think if we can keep stuff like they're doing now, keep playing how they're playing, and has their bad run come early? I mean, I know they're slow starters, County, aren't they? But have they had? Everyone has a bad run, don't they, in a season of like 6 or 7, maybe 8 games, and we had ours very early on. Don't know. We'll see.
We're halfway now. We are now officially halfway with the win at Newport to that 50-point mark, the survival benchmark.
Is that the target, the magic 50?
Yeah, and we've still got 5 games until the halfway point of the season as well.
Yeah. We'll be right.
Which Russ doesn't seem bothered about.
No, I am bothered about. He's
just left us agreeing with each other. It's really bad podcasting.
I'm just looking at the table. That's all I'm doing. Just checking. Yeah. So, and we're into the top half as well for the first time.
Yeah, 12.
I did see that. Yeah.
It's looking, isn't it? Yeah, it's looking a lot better. And when you look at the table, 1 to 24, as in a helicopter view, it looks like we're more than above halfway. I quite like that.
Aren't we like 5 points off the playoffs or something like that?
Yeah, 5 off the playoffs.
We are, yes. We're 5 points behind Mansfield. So let that sink in for a sec.
We're above Grimsby, who, let's not forget, have had such a brilliant start to the season and acclimatised themselves very well.
Yes. Yeah, who kept the core of their players. That's what we should have done.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Yeah. So yeah. So the things, these, left bollock. I've got a bone to pick with him. But top 300%.
Do it now. Do it now, please.
No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to air my laundry in public.
What is this? Is this laundry about the laundry that he aired on Twitter this afternoon?
Yeah.
Good job it's not been aired in public, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, I know.
People, men who chat to men and make things like unnecessarily sexual. There's a word for men like that, but I don't want to be accused of a hate crime, so we'll leave it there. He's a bad boy, isn't he?
I don't know what that. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't know what word you're thinking of. Let's move it on.
I suddenly feel lost here. On the right,
you are. Yeah, you are. No, let's move it on. Whistlegate. This is why I'm here, Dave. I move things on. Whistlegate.
Whistlegate.
Yeah, so the just as a point of reference, the Newport podcast, 2 of them said that they did not hear a whistle and they were in the ground. Yet people on the telly heard it.
Yeah, it was like it must have been right in the stand where the camera was and stuff. But I think both benches heard it and the officials heard it. So
I heard one at Edgley Park.
Own goals and gaff and yeah, but yeah,
the other week. I heard one the other week. I
often.
can't remember who it was against, but I heard one at Edgley Park and thought. I said to Will, I said, "Did you just hear a whistle?" Then he was like, "Yeah, I thought it was me. Can't remember what game it was." So, but I didn't hear the one on Newport, probably because I was all the way in Islamabad, long way travel. But I didn't hear it. But then I couldn't hear it when he blew a whistle to tell him to take a free kick. So, but no players. It's not like it was on his goal line, is it? If he was on his goal line, he's picked up and gone, "Oh, ref, I thought I heard a whistle."
Yeah.
And you think that's a bit naughty. That he's cheating.
Yeah.
He's not going to pick it up there if he doesn't hear a whistle, is he? So there must have been something that he heard, and I thought the referee had it right. Commentators were saying like, "Oh, what's going on? He's picked the ball up. He's got to get yellow carded, red carded." They didn't even think, "Oh, he might have heard a whistle." But I thought the referee sorted it out as it should have been. I don't think it's just one of those weird things that happens in football.
You could almost see it on Question of Sport. You know, the what happens next round.
Yeah.
If anyone still cared about a Question of Sport. Or Danny Baker's own goals and gaffs at Christmas. You know, little videos that you get.
The best video.
Yeah.
But with Vinnie Jones, Soccer's Hardmen, that was another good video to have.
I was very partial to Nick Hancock's Football Nightmares.
Nick Hancock, I was just thinking of it, yeah.
Danny Dyer's Football Slags.
That's a completely different DVD, that, Nick. It's not one I own.
Oh God.
Yeah, and what did he do? Did he give the ball back to us, or did he do an uncontested drop ball?
And we booted it to them, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
You can have it, but not 25 yards out. You can have it back
up there. Oh,
yeah.
Like it. Anything more on Newport then?
I'd be happy not to have to watch them every week, and luckily I don't. But
at that ground as well. Imagine going there every week.
Yeah. It's a bit cold as well. I mean, not for me. I was in Nicaragua. But monsoon season there. Bloody got drenched, mate. Got all sand in my espadrilles. Been a terrible time of it. But other than that, no, I couldn't go there to watch my football action, my EFL action every week. Now, that's my main takeaway.
Fair dues. Shall we move on to the Leyton Orient game?
Yeah, exciting.
Did what Steve said scare you?
Yeah.
Yeah. One yes, one no.
Yeah. I'm easily scared. In the night garden used to scare me.
Quite rightly, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, Macca and all that weird stuff.
Piggle. Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, something all tripping. I think if County go ahead, we don't lose. I think we've got enough about us now in the league to say, right, this is ours. You're not having it. I don't like saying we'll ever win. It's like if I bet on County, they lose. So I don't bet on County or England anymore. I don't want to say we'll win, but we might.
I'll say it.
I don't want to curse it. I'm confident.
I think it'll be another Spennymoor at home. Remember Spennymoor at home?
Yeah.
Where it was kind of laboured and then got a late. The same weather as well. Bit cold, bit wet. I've just got a big narrow win.
Narrow, like it.
Narrow scoreline, but big in stature.
Yeah, like it.
Like me.
A big narrow win. That's the podcast title.
I like that.
Yeah. A big narrow win. Write that down. Big narrow win. But with a big crowd as well, because it's going to be pretty much full.
Yeah, I was looking this afternoon. Cheadle End, there's a few left at the bottom of the Cheadle End. I think Popside's pretty much done, and main stand. But yeah, you're
not a dot pervert as well, are you?
No. I saw another dot pervert posted a screenshot, and the podcast happens to follow him on Twitter, so it ended up on the timeline. So if we're going to blame anyone,
who was the dot pervert?
You brought this dot pervert into my life. I didn't know this dot pervert was perverting on dots, and then
I know what you mean. He
was mentioned before. Yes, two mentions.
I know. Might have to
ignore them.
Might have to get him on, but he said the show was shit, and he'd rather listen to BBC Radio Manchester talk to Hippolyte. So
he was in the chat there. So
I know. Well, maybe. Anyway, let's
turn on it.
Yeah, let's enough about that.
You give and you give and you give.
So there's not many dots left as we've established. So it's going to be a really good atmosphere. Hopefully the drum's back in as well.
Yes, I'd imagine it will be. Won't it? It's been at the aways. So.
Yeah, I miss the drum. Really do. So that's Leyton Orient. It does scare me. Top of the league, best away record, best defence.
Yeah.
But these are the games. If you ask the manager, these are the games you want to be playing in, innit?
Yeah.
Like my mum said to me about the bullies, they're more scared of you than you are of them, Nicholas. Now you go out there and let your light shine.
What happened?
And that's what the players should do. I don't want to talk about it.
Harry said the drum is there, boys. Get in. Good.
Harry.
Yeah, boy.
Like not much to say about Leyton Orient until the match has happened, is there? There's not much we can really say about it.
Probably shouldn't use a big narrow win as the title. Given
that's true. Yes.
I've used Danny Dyer's football slags.
Yeah. There we go.
That's more my street. Yeah. Now you're talking. You've watched the show before. maybe we'll do a little mock-up cover for that. Danny Dyer's football slag.
That's 2 weeks in a row. I've nearly been crying for laughter on this show.
This fucking slag did in Paraguay. and it's just some Paraguayan defenders scoring an own goal from like 40 yards, and it's going
Danny Dyer, good grief.
What a guy.
Right.
Coaches, Russell.
What notices? Yeah.
Coach. Well. In county news, there's a coach. They're doing a coach to Charlton.
They are, yes.
I don't know why people got in touch asking us to publicise it because it's not.
I didn't understand that either. Yeah, bit pricey though, isn't it? Is it not?
Yeah, but can't go. What do people want handouts, Russ? but they get up and do a day's work or something. I don't know. I'm assuming that's the gist of the argument the other way.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I noticed the parking was £40 a car.
Yeah.
At the ground. Now that's expensive considering Tranmere 7 and other grounds are probably less. But like my missus said, yeah, but how much would it cost you to park in an NCP round there or somewhere else? She said you're probably looking at the same anyway. And then if you go on a coach, it's going to cost you that each.
I don't think if you want to go, 44 quid, so plus your ticket, 54 quid. If you want to go, I don't think that's a bad price because if you do it off your own back, if you go on the train, all right, you can. But if you were to go on the train, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's going to cost you more than 50 quid for the ticket. Yeah. And if you drive, it's going to cost you your fuel. And then, like you say, you got to park. So you'll say it's another 20 quid. So there's 70 gone. So I don't think it's that badly priced. At least they've done something. At least, the club could have just done nothing and then people would have had something to moan about.
I mean, coaches aren't for me anyway because I'm travel sick and I've got long legs, so coaches are not for me or for the person sat next to me. and the smell of egg butties before the engine's even been started up really sets me off. Sets my travel sickness off. I have to put my bracelets on.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's good.
If you're going to be paying, if you would have got the train there anyway, I suppose it's not the same as a train, is it? But what can you do?
No, what can you do?
Certainly, we can't do anything unless you got to drive.
I might be driving, but I might
Let's get the county arms on wheels.
Yeah, I might be driving. I might go on a coach this time. Okay, there's something I need to do in terms of the parish notices. At this point, can please everybody like and subscribe? Like the video, we're on 16 at the moment, and there's 70 people watching. Can you please like it?
I've liked it.
And subscribe if you haven't already. Cheers. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, or any podcast player, please do rate and review. There's something else I wanted to mention as well. There is a charity night happening very soon, and if I can get the picture up, here's where
Our Ladies, isn't it?
It is at Our Ladies, yes. So my wife used to work with this lady who's terminally ill. So we've got a strong connection with her, and so some of our family members are arranging it. And I know that it's Paul, I forget his surname.
Deaf boy off the old Marion's board back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. It's his wife. So they've got 2 young children. So let me just share this item if I can. Here we go with the technology. I'm shit at this, aren't I? I think I worked in IT, would you?
And for those listening to the audio version, we'll put a link to the poster and stuff in the episode description.
Yeah,
I will.
It's on Saturday, the 4th of February. There's no name for it. It's I think it's called All for Alex. But let me just share this. There we go. Can you see that?
You can see that. That's good. That. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same day as Tranmere at home, I think, isn't it? I seem to remember reading.
Ooh, that's shaping up into a big day out then. Good timing.
Yes. So 7 p.m. start. There's going to be things raffled off and an auction. I believe that Sam Minihan has donated his 100th appearance shirt, match worn shirt.
Nice.
Top man, Sam.
I believe that's something that's happened. So yeah, so if you can make it, please do. I will be there. I've already bought my tickets. There we go. Anything more for admin, Nick?
No. Oh, I've got another podcast. If you like Arctic Monkeys, it's there. Don't believe the hype. If you don't, fine. Don't listen to it. But we're launching the Patreon launches this week, and you can pay us money to do it. Which means that Russ has to stop paying me to do this then, because I'm only allowed to be paid by one at a time. It gets too confusing having that much money under my mattress.
And the other thing is we're organising. We're going to organise some live shows, aren't we? That's a thing that's going to come along, and we're going to do some World Cup podcasts. So stick around for those. We're going to do those with the Oldham boys. So hopefully that'll be a lot of fun.
Because we can rub their noses in it about being on the way to the National League North, and they can rub our noses in it about being award winners at the Football Awards. So something for everyone.
That's exactly how it's going to go down.
I'll get pranked again. They'll probably put cling film over my toilet seat or something. Those jolly japesters. Whoa, mental crackers, them lads, crackers.
I like it. Oh, sorry, it's Sam Minian's 150 appearance shirt. Cheers, Steve. Still pretty good though, isn't it?
Even better, I'd say. It's more recent.
Yeah. Okay. Moving
recent
on.
Things are better. No one longs for the old days or anything. Everyone knows that.
I do.
Yeah, I think it was same. I wish it was like still 95, to be quite honest.
Right.
I'm convinced it's still the 90s. Or the 90s was 10 years ago.
I know.
I wish.
Hey, right, moving on. Dave, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, Stockport County, and how that all came about. And we've got some important messages, haven't we? So yeah.
How long have we got? I don't have a timer.
No, well, we're 50 minutes in. Yeah, we're 50 minutes in, and we've probably got another half an hour, I would say.
Okay, sound. That's cool. God, yeah, that's quite a story. So I said to Russ when you asked me to come on, this could potentially become the confession session. There's a few people who know I moved up here in November '99, and I used to live in a place called Alsager, which for those that will have heard of it is between Crewe and Stoke. So I went to school there. Hey, well, the big reveal.
You've injected some jeopardy into things here.
So I moved there because we moved around the country with my dad's job. Me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. And I moved there in about 88, maybe a bit earlier. I think it was about 10, so about 87. And bizarrely enough, I was an Everton fan because we grew up in Southport. My brother's a Liverpool fan, so naturally you support the other team, don't you? And then my football manager took me to Stoke v Sunderland, and a player called Peter Bergery did a backflip. Remember he used to do his backflip?
Oh, yeah.
Like, whoa! I was like, wow, that's like Hugo Sanchez at Real Madrid. So I was a Stoke fan. And I moved up here in 99. I moved up here in 97 for college, and I wore an Autoglass trophy t-shirt, right? And I went into the book. I went to William Hills on Castle Street, and I didn't walk out. Let's put it that way. I ran out. Some guy came up to me and he went, "You've got some effing nerve wearing that in here, haven't you?" And I walked out the door, and he was right behind me. So I just legged it, and I legged it all the way back to my student house on Fox Street. And obviously, like, Stoke played County a lot in the 90s, didn't we? And then County were really good and Stoke was shit. And I was a Stoke fan, and I moved up here and I was a Stoke fan. And as many people know, in October last year, George died, and that changed everything. We used to laugh. We used to take the mickey. Well, I used to take the mickey and say what a tin pot club County was. It was like no atmosphere. It was a rubbish club. It was going nowhere, blah, blah, blah. And I took him to his first ever football match was County, because I still had this feeling that he should support his local team. So I took him to County against Huddersfield, I think, and they lost, I think, 2 or 3-0. So that would be about 2008. So they were still in the league then. I think I took him again the following year when they played Tranmere on the last day of the season. And I think Tranmere, did they go down or did they stay up? Or
They stayed up, didn't they? They beat us and stayed
yeah,
up.
I think County gone down already.
That seems about right.
And I remember, and we went on. Everyone, we took a picture of him on the pitch, and he got like his Lightning McQueen hat on and everything else. Then he came to a Stoke match with me and was like, "Wow, yeah, the Premier League and all of that." And then he was crying one day after primary school, saying, "None of my mates are Stoke fans at school," and it's like, I don't care. Support who you want. So he watched City for a bit. And then when he got to about 13, he came home from school and he said, one of my mates has said, "Can I go on to County with him?" I said, "How much is it?" I think it was a £5. I said, "There's a £10." And he came back and he's like, "Oh, I can't remember who they played or what the score was, but all he was talking about was the atmosphere." And this is still County were National League North then. And my dad used to say that when I used to come back from football, the first thing I spoke about was the atmosphere, the singing of the songs and the laughing, the things that you see away from the game and the football experience, as I would call it, which he didn't get from watching Stoke for me, and he didn't get from watching any games at the Etihad, but he got it from County. And that was the bug that instantly grabbed him from that sort of teenage years. And I remember the night before Nuneaton, he had his Hillgate football presentation night, and I want to go. Could we get him a ticket? We couldn't get one for love nor money. Anyway, we got him a ticket somehow, but he couldn't get a lift because I was working, and then he got a lift off his other uncle. And again, so they would, and his life was becoming more and more. AT once said to him, he's like, I could see him starting this County journey. So obviously, October last year was when he died, and the club were just incredible, absolutely incredible, from the very, very top all the way down, from the Dave Challoner, obviously the manager, Mark Stott, Steve Bellis, all the staff in the club shop, all the staff in the ticket office, absolutely everyone the day of his funeral, when we drove past Edgley Park, there must have been, I reckon, it seems like 200 people outside. There was chefs were outside. There was just everyone, and they are the reason now, which has made me realise that all the things that I used to take the mickey out of them about, because we wanted Stoke to draw County in the cup. That's what, and then we're gonna see who's boss kind of thing, and it never happened. And I'm desperate for it to happen now. I'd love it to happen, and that's the reason that I am now a County fan. And my mates back home completely get it, who they still go and watch Stoke, but they understand it, because the things I used to take the mickey of, some club, a family, behave yourselves. It's true. It is true. And it's just a hell of a place to go. And I work so many weekends, and now I'm at the point where I'm realizing actually I need to redress the balance a bit here and be able to go to the football with Will, spend some time at home with the missus and things like that. So that's what got me to where I am now within this incredible County family. And while I think about this, before I forget, there's a guy who's listening tonight, Dan Smith. Get well soon, Dan. He's not too well. A lot of people will know him. He's I don't think he'll mind me saying he's having some sort of being looked after medically. So he is listening tonight. So get well soon. Sick note is his nickname. So you'll know him. He's got a massive nose. You'll know. So yeah. So that's kind of what not my County story so far, which kind of is a bit sort of staggered, really, if you like.
No, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that with us. So I don't know. There's loads going on in my head here to sort of explore. So with the County family, because I mean I've been supporting County since the late 80s, so it's a given for me. And people say, oh yeah, it's like a family, and we take it for granted, and we say that to ourselves. Well, I do it, we go give over. It's just another football club. What is it that's so special? Now you've seen it from the outside, and now you're on the inside, aren't you? What is it that makes it so special?
I think Sir Steve Bellis, because that's how he should be known. Sir Steve said to me, it's like a family because there's so many different people and we don't always get on.
Yeah,
and he's like, and you can see that on Twitter, can't you? I mean,
yeah,
or anything, but everyone is there for the same reason. Everyone wants to see the club and the team doing well, and you can see just in the short space of time that County been back in the league, what it does to a tight Stockport. It just massively lifts everything and everyone, and for places like Castle Street, it's going to regenerate that from the fact that there's more people going there having a beer. That's going to keep that kind of community going. I'd say from a family point of view, it's not like anything else I've experienced from a football point of view. It's real. It's heartfelt. It's like nothing else. I've photographed a lot of football, which is why I don't go to watch a lot of football. And you hear people say that football is, going to the match can become like a drug. Wanting that Saturday fix. People live for the weekend. They live for the Saturday, and I'm feeling that now. And not to the point where, like this Saturday, I'm probably going to come out later because I've got stuff to do. So I'll see less people before the match. But that 90 minutes of connection, and it will always be a connection for me now because George's ashes are behind the goal at the Cheadle end. So there is always a connection for me there now. But to go there for 90 minutes, to be able to just immerse yourself in something. When you're photographing a football game, you don't get that because you're doing a job. You're working. Sometimes you're chatting to the photographer next to you because it's a rubbish game, but you are not watching it in the same way that you watch it as a fan. And now I just want everything to go on and on and on. I want this County team to go on to so many great things because you can see it within them. You can see how they've started this season and which way were they going to go when things started to get a little bit tough after 10 games. Which way were these players going to go? And all right, it's changed a bit from last season. They could have easily, oh well, Jordan's gone, Sam's gone, it's not the same, I don't want to be here anymore. Or they could have just gone, we're going to keep going and we're going to keep trying. You can see that within them now. They're still making it all come together and work. And you want that from a team. As a fan, you want that. You want to see that desire, that connection, that on the pitch as well as off it. And you can see it with this lot, and it's great. And even when it's going to get tough again, there'll be another tough time this season, won't there? It's not all just going to be like it is now the last 7 or 8 games. You want it to keep going, and it will. But it is, like I say, it's not just going the match now. It's seeing the people who, and there's so many people. I feel awful that so many people say, "Hiya, Dave," and I think I know the face and I can't remember the name, and so I'll now publicly apologise to people whose names I always forget. But I can't thank everyone enough. They've been, for us as a family and me personally, the fans have been superb.
No, it's really.
It's like getting recognised, isn't it? That's what I get when I'm stood with you, Russ.
it's what you get. It's what you get when you go Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, like good. When are you going to leave?
No, but like for County though, and I've followed your story. I've for a long time. County, it's like it's a small enough club that everybody kind of knows each other. And I don't mean curtain twitching and things like that. I mean, like a proper community, but it's big enough that it can rise up the leagues, can't it? We've got that in us as well, haven't we? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like a sweet spot of a club. And the fact that we're staying at Edgeley Park as well, that just bolsters it for me, that we're going to have loads of character in the ground. We're going to have supporters that upper tier 3 will always be a thing. Probably there'll be other singing sections perhaps as the ground increases, but we're not sort of lifting ourselves out of Edgeley Park, dropping ourselves into a flat pack where everybody gets dispersed. Yeah, and all of a sudden the community just goes, because everybody organically is in the places that they've always been, aren't they? Sweet spot. I like that. Yeah.
There's so many modern grounds now that are just. I would hate County's ground. Edgeley Park is going to change. It will still be Edgeley Park, but it's going to change. And if it ended up looking like the Bet365, the Bet365 was never as good as the Victoria ground. There was a year or two when I used to photograph there when they first got in the Premier League, where the noise at the ground was incredible, to be fair. But it was never as good as the Victoria ground for consistently over a period of time being what people felt like home. But the look of those stadiums now, like Pride Park, the Bet365, I bet Everton's is going to look pretty boring. They're just, like you say, Meccano stadiums. Yeah. And I'd hate, Edgeley Park will have to become that because there's asbestos all around it. But do you know what I mean? You don't want it to just become somewhere else. You want it to have some sort of character, because even Hardcastle Road, that whatever it is, Art Deco, Stockport County in the world, there's not much like that left in football. And because modern football is rubbish, as we know, that's one of the things that changes it, is the stadiums just becoming all looking the same. Yeah. When you used to drive down the M6 or wherever as a kid, you could see floodlights. You were like that. Is that Coventry, Dad? He's saying, no, it's West Ham. We're nowhere near the Midlands or whatever. And you could see and now you just don't see them anywhere. So the landmarks, as industrial landmarks, if you like, they've gone as well. So keep big floodlights. Keep big floodlights, County.
Bring more back. A big floodlight, yeah. And now you just drive past an industrial estate and you're like, oh, that's a big bus stop. And it's not. It's just a field ground.
Yeah, I know. They just look, or they look like Costco or somewhere like that, or an Amazon.
Horrible.
Yeah, I just don't like them.
Fair dues. Bringing the conversation back then to George slightly. There's a few charities that you sent me the links for. I will get these onto the comments. Do you want to just talk us through some of those charities and how you're possibly involved or you've come across them, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'll start with I'll say from the very beginning, in no way am I mentally trained to any sort of counselling advice or anything like that. These are just places that I've come across. So the first, and ask me anything. I'm a bit of an open book, so don't feel that if there's anything that comes up, you can't ask. The first one that I'll probably say is potentially most important is Papyrus, which some people may have heard of or may not. If you've heard of the Three Dads Walking, then you'll probably have heard of Papyrus.
Yep.
So Papyrus is a charity which basically their aim is to prevent suicides in those under the age of 35. Now, if you're 55 and you're feeling pretty low, then they're not going to not listen to you. I have this on my wrist, which I have a bag full of them, and I give them out because when I think people need them, and I'll try and see if you can read. Not back to front, is it?
No, Hope Line UK. Yeah.
0800 068 41 41.
So that is the Papyrus helpline for anyone who is worried about either themselves or friends or family or someone who they are worried is in a dark place and is potentially thinking of ending their life. You can ring that number, you get put through to the Hope Line, and then you are, as I understand it, I've not done this myself, but from what I've researched and spoken to them about, you basically get, it's not a reference number, it's called something far nicer than that. But if you were to ring up a second time, you give them that number. So you don't have to tell your whole story all the time. And you can keep ringing this Hope Line, and it's somewhere to go if you are feeling that way. My personal experience is with a charity called Mentel, which you've probably seen me share countless times on the Facebook group, or more so there than on Twitter. Mentel is incredible. I have no affiliation to it apart from a member. So if you turn up once, you're a member for life. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing to go. It costs you nothing to be a member, and you don't have to speak when you go. Mentel, the way Mentel works is so for a kickoff, it's every Monday night at Edgeley Park in Stockport. There is another one in Hyde, which has just started. It's nationwide, but obviously the link through this is with Stockport County. You turn up to the circle and you check in with a number from 1 to 10. 1 being you're pretty low, 10 is as good as you can be. And the circle lasts an hour, then they have a break halfway through for 10 minutes, and then there's like a second half. And you get given the chance to speak about what it is that's weighing you down. It might be anything to do with, it could be money, it could be, payments on a mortgage, it could be marital, it could be children, primary school, worried about kids here, it could be anything. Everything that gives people worry could come up in a circle. And it's completely, as we found, and they say it's free of judgment. You can go there with any problem, and you don't have to speak when you go. You might just want to go and listen and think, that guy is saying what I am feeling. And so that's all right, because that makes me realize I'm not the only one. You might not feel confident enough to speak, and a lot of what I've heard through going there is how many times people say the hardest part was getting here. It's a bit like I always say, without sounding flippant, it's like going to a gym. I always think the hardest part of going to a gym is getting there.
Yeah.
But this is even harder because it's your mental health. And I mean, there's things that, like, the guys from Mentel did send me a couple of stats about it, which I've written down here, that they are, so 72% of men who take their own life are not known to the NHS mental health services in the same year that person takes his life. So that's 72%, which is a mad figure. And then the biggest risk to a man's life under the age of 45 is suicide. And men account for 55% of all suicides in the UK, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And there's not, the reason that Mentel is what it is that because they have a thing called Turn Your Business Blue, which is a couple of the pubs I think on Edgeley have done it. There's 28 bars in Stockport, pubs, barbers, and local businesses who have done this. And that is to raise awareness sort of through the town in a way that these are places that men will go to where, like, you have a haircut, you might, I'm not feeling too great today. And then you'll walk out and that's it. Whereas if you take one of their cards when you're paying for your haircut, you take the card, you look at Mentel, and that's how you arrive there. But it's been enormous for me as a support, and I know it has for other people who have come along and attended. I can't recommend it enough. But as I say, there's no affiliation for me saying that. It's just honesty, really, more than anything. But they do also. If people didn't want to go to a Mentel face to face, they do it every Monday via Zoom as well. So if you were kind of like, I really don't want face to face, then there is that ability to stay at home and do it if you like. That was just another thing to mention before I forgot that.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good. Yeah, cheers for telling us that. Damon Carroll, I think you know Damon, don't you?
I do know Damon.
Yeah, friend of mine as well. We've done some goalkeeping coaching together. He says, tell them about the walk, Dave.
I'm glad he didn't spell walk wrong. Yeah, so I mean, again, a few people will know about the Chesterfield walk that we did.
Yeah.
That was just about trying to raise awareness. I have a bug in my mind that mental health is where it is in this country, and I've been told this through my own counsellor. It's through lack of funding. It's through lack of government funding or cuts or things like that. But I do have the real sticking point for me of having to do things and saying, can you sponsor this? Can you sponsor that? It's got to be about awareness. Awareness will lead to money being given. People, we're all skint at the moment, aren't we? We're all digging as deep as we can financially. So to start asking people for money and to start rattling buckets isn't something I feel comfortable with. Just making people aware where to go. I don't like the phrase signposting, but telling them what's on and where they can get it and where they can get support. That's going to start that ball rolling. And eventually, people will sit up and listen and people will realise that this isn't going away. I'm not naive. I know you can't save every single man or woman or teenager. I know you can't do that. But what has to change for me is the ability for people to get the support they need and knowing where to go. I had someone message me this week telling me about a friend of theirs didn't know where to go for help for someone who they knew that was in a really dark place. And that's completely understandable because that was us several years ago. Eventually we got the things of where to go and we went there. Healthy Minds is another one for those who want to be referred through your GP. You can Google Healthy Minds, Pennine Healthcare Trust. That's who I've managed to see a counsellor through to get my support. I've got my last session next week because I feel I've reached a point, along with my counsellor, that I'm in a far better place now, personally, than I was March. March was particularly dark. July was darker. So through that period, I've come out through the other side, through the talking to a counsellor to understand your own feelings, my own feelings of why I feel like this, that, or the other, why I feel angry, why I feel sad, why I feel happy, why am I feeling happy? It's all perfectly natural and things. So that, whilst I didn't agree with it at first, I didn't think it was particularly useful or helpful. It's definitely put me to a better place now than I was several months ago. Definitely.
Thank you very much for sharing all that.
That's
Really,
all right.
we really appreciate it. You know, we've done episodes like this in the past. I don't think none as how did I say? None as probably as important as that in terms of the message and where it's come from, because it's a real life experience, and you've given us, you know, we're just two lads that two middle-aged. Well, I'm grey-haired. One looks like Klopp.
Yourself.
Two middle-aged blokes doing a podcast every week. We like to think it helps, and we try to do some of these every now and again. So, yeah, anybody that's listening, if you take on board any of the messages, we'll put the links to some of the charities and services you give us into the podcast description, so that'll go through to YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. And yeah, if you are out there and you need help, then it's there to go and get.
I think the other thing as well that's worth saying is that another thing you hear I hear quite a bit of Mentel is people saying, "My wife told me to have a look at this." So to all the female fans who might be watching this or who are out there, men sometimes need a little bit of a steer.
Yeah.
To go and have a look at something, or to click a link on a website, or to register for attending. So this isn't purely for Mentel anyway. This isn't purely just aimed at men. It's the women that can get them there. The other one thing I was going to say about obviously connecting with George as a thank you to everyone is, obviously, I'm pretty sure you've seen the flag, which now goes to every home game, and if either Will or I or both are going, or even we can't, Finley and Simon Hewitt, if they're going, they will take the flag. That flag, as a thank you from us, everyone seems to have a lot of respect for it. The people will try their best not to tread on it if it's in funny places, and I'm always very, very grateful for that. If George's name on a flag makes someone think about, actually, yeah, maybe I need to go and talk to someone, or maybe then that again is something that, through George's name, if it helps, it's very cliched, if it helps one person, then it's been worth having. And a lot of people worked very hard to get money for that flag again, so I'll thank all of those fans. It's another part of the family we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And it was Nick Gowdy. Nick Gowdy is my brother-in-law. It was his. I've got a name drop, Nick.
Yeah,
it was partly his and Jim's idea for the flag. So massive thanks to them as well.
Good stuff. All good stuff. Yeah, I'll get those links into the description, and cool. Do reach out. Look out for that flag as well. I think we've all seen it, to be fair. So
every week, it's pretty much every week, I think.
Yeah, it was in. I was next to it. It was in front of me at Grimsby away last season, because I think you were just in front of me at that point.
I was all over the place at Grimsby away. I remember I was steaming. I was orchestrating all kinds of nonsense. That's you've had a good day out when your son has a word with you on the way home and says, "Dad, you don't need to be the cheerleader, Dad." Oh, okay, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, my son's getting to that age now where he's telling me, stop being a knob. Bless him.
It's happening now.
No,
you've got me telling you that for years, haven't you? So it's not funny. He's going to. Should I do what we've learned? Oh no, we'll wrap it up first, and then I'll do what we've learned.
No. Well, I was going to say, should we have a quick 5 minutes on the World Cup? Because by the time we have next week's show, the World Cup will have started. England will have played Iran. So I think it's probably nice to finish on the World Cup and then what we've learned. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. So
World Cup. I'm trying to muster up some excitement.
I know. Well, it's funny. I'll give my view at the moment. Currently, I'm starting to get excited about it now. I know it's November and it's in Qatar, and there's all those reasons that surround it. I get all that, but at the end of the day, it's a World Cup for me, and I'm going to be supporting the lads on my big screen from England. What about you, Dave? What do you think about the whole World Cup thing?
I'm massively underwhelmed now, but I don't know if it's an age thing. I'm 46. My first World Cup was Mexico '86.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit underwhelmed with it all. I'll get giddy after the group stages, I think, because that's when it becomes a proper thing, knockout tournament, not World Cup. I'm a little bit. I reckon once it gets started, and it's just like the first few games. what's the first one? Ecuador versus Qatar. I ain't watching that.
There's nothing else.
Like, you
that
always
day.
watch,
That's
always watch the opening
worst.
game of the World Cup, don't you? But I'm not going to watch that. That's rubbish. And then England v Iran. I'll probably watch it because it's England. And then there was another couple of games that just didn't excite me at all. It's going to take a while to get me involved in this one, whereas normally can't wait for them. But I'm just a bit. It's happening, and it's a rubbish time of year for a World Cup.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Same, to be honest. I can kind of slightly get on board with the winter thing because for half of the footballing world, that is when their season's not happening. But then you go and give it to Qatar, which just totally wipes that out, and it's just yeah. And the England supporters band have sold out, haven't they, to the state of Qatar? The England supporters band are taking money.
Oh, they're going
to like stay nice things, yeah. But they're a bunch of bellends anyway. They should not be representing. They should not be what the rest of the world looks at and goes, "Let's see England fans," and it's them. I'd rather see like hooligans rampaging through the streets than have them representing us.
Have you not seen the locals, the local band of England fans?
I don't want to talk about it, mate. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not nearly ready yet. No. But when we do go out, when we get knocked out, I'm dedicating it to them. I'm blaming them.
Right.
No need for that sort of
there is a good thing. I don't know if you've seen it on Channel 4. I think it might have just finished. There was a good 3-part documentary about Italia 90, about England.
Yeah, very good.
To be honest, it was more about the fans than it was the football, which I thought should have gone a bit the other way. But that's quite a good watch if that wants to get you in your World Cup chair throwing feeling, Nick.
Well, there's one on BBC and one on Sky as well. So I think the BBC one is a lot more football centered.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the Sky one would be because you wouldn't imagine they'd have the rights for a World Cup footage. But...
Well, Dave, you talk about the Channel 4 one. Sorry, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It was called something that changed football. Something that changed football.
So that's the one I caught. That was mainly about the football with the fans thrown in, wasn't it? Pardon the pun. Yeah, the Sky one apparently. Chloe Beresford, friend of the podcast, has watched that and rated the Channel 4 one over it because it was not. There wasn't much football in it. Let's say in the Sky one. So.
Oh well, it's not like Sky to push an agenda, is it? I for one welcome our TalkSport overlords.
TalkSport overlords. I love it.
Our despotic. Despotic state radio overlord.
Is it Rupert Murdoch we got tarnished with the other day?
Quite rightly, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. It's like they won't be listening to this. We're just the little people.
Yeah.
Fine.
So we will be doing World Cup podcasts, whether you like it or not. The World Cup, that is.
Yeah.
Not,
just
not,
for our own sanity, really.
Have you picked a winner?
No, not done any of that this year. It's weird.
That's what I mean.
I'm not seeing any.
Exactly.
I'm not seeing any sweepstakes going around or anything. I don't know.
I've not even got a wall chart. If you've not got a wall chart up, that tells you how excited you are about the World Cup.
Yeah. So we've still got. I mean, proper. I did enjoy as much as it was Tim Pot non-league shit tier banter. I enjoyed Ashton United making a bid for Haaland on loan.
Brilliant.
Just purely based on the number of Man City fans, like. Foreign-based Man City fans replying saying, "Yeah, but there's no football, so what's the point?" That's the point of the joke in the first place.
Modern football.
So, well, actually, there is football, and most would argue, well, most of our audience would argue that it's better football than what we're going to be missing out on. So I thought it was a terrible weekend for Match of the Day last week.
See, I don't even watch Match of the Day anymore.
Cheese on toast. I just watched Match of the Day 2 on a Sunday because you get it all, and you normally get Mark Chapman as well. Gary Lineker looks far too happy with himself, but no problem. I love Gary Lineker, but he just looks far too pleased with himself. So it's Mark Chapman all the way for me. Not the killer of John Lennon, the football journalist guy.
Yeah,
most Match of the Day 2, wasn't it?
Well, you would like him. He supports United, doesn't he? So
before we run about that football experience that George got as a kid, and that's another thing that's being taken away. The whole when your team scores a goal, especially in a game that means an awful lot, all you got to do is look at the linesman. That's gone.
Yeah.
Because 2 minutes after that, the game stops, and that's everything that I despise about football is at the higher end. The game is farther away from anyone than it should ever be.
Yeah.
But where we are at the moment, touch wood, it's all right. So how would you feel then if County suddenly, within 4 years, are knocking on the door of the Premier League?
Oh,
I've had
don't get him
discussion
started.
many
Don't get him
times on
started on
here.
the
I've
Premier
been told
League.
off
Jesus
every time.
Christ.
I'll keep it short. One season will do me. We'll do a Blackpool,
Yeah,
and that'll do me. Yeah,
just to go to the ground.
I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be there every year. I'd have a Conference League run, but Russ is getting very annoyed with this now. So we'll move on. Russ hates this type of conversation.
But what about it? What about something a bit more realistic? We get into the Championships, which is our objective, and VAR bleeds down into the Championship as it has done with the Scottish Prem.
Then in that case, I'd be happy yo-yoing between the Championship and League One.
Yeah.
Which I'd be happy with anyway.
That's what
I think that's what's going to become our rightful level in the next few years. But yeah.
Okay.
The can of worms I've opened.
Yeah, it is, mate.
Nice one. I'm going to get an angry message from when Russ listens to the audio version later. Once I've put it up, he's going to be like, "Can't believe you went on about
that." Right, we've been on nearly an hour and a half. Nick, what have we learned?
Wow.
We have learned Leyton Orient are apparently Brazil 1970 reincarnated, but we're going to beat them anyway. The World Cup will probably be all right.
It'll happen.
It's a World Cup, isn't it? How bad can it be? This is the point where I wish I had like an England heartbreak montage to play. That would have been the perfect time for it. But most importantly, we've learned that none of the above matters if you're not taking care of your mental health. So if you're going through anything at all, may we direct you to the links that we've put in the episode description. I think would be right, wouldn't it, Russell?
It would.
Pop them in there.
Good stuff. That's what I'm going to do straight after we've come off air. Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cheers,
pleasure.
mate.
Thanks for having me. I'm sure there's stuff I've missed out on behalf of Mentel and the other the other charities that I'm there. But again, I'll always say it if anyone sees me at County, and I might have had a few, but please don't feel you can't come up to me and ask me about anything or where someone can be directed to. I'd much rather you ask than come over later and months later and say, I wish I'd asked. So please don't feel like you're going to upset me or put me on edge, or just come and ask me. Simple as that. But thank you for having me, and thanks again.
No problem at all. We will be back next week with guest TBD. It's a new rapper from Stockport. We haven't started a guest out yet.
It's good, Ross.
I don't know. I can be quite funny when I'm not under pressure, Nick.
This is pressure. Think what nurses are going through, Ross. Think to the nurses. I've heard you often do.
Right, we'll be back next week. Thank you to everybody for watching, listening. Please do like and subscribe and rate and review on any podcast player. And yes, enjoy the World Cup start. Enjoy County on Saturday, and we'll see you next week. Ta-da!
Bye.